Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video, and in this I will be reviewing round number 10 of the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship, which was at Detroit last weekend. Apologies for not doing this earlier in the week. Probably because of all the content I've been trying to schedule and been trying to film for the last couple of days, and also I've been recently gone back to work. So after doing my finger 2 months ago, I've just gone back. Got back yesterday, back to work yesterday as I'm recording this. So it's probably going to be a lot harder now to do content now that I'm back at work. As you guys don't know, I basically work 5 days a week. So that make it from 8 to 3. So that makes things a little bit harder to make content. But hopefully after the recent momentum I've had in the last about 2-3 weeks, it's been great, the momentum. I thank all you guys for watching the content. So me content and commenting about how good the content is, and hopefully it will continue. Hopefully over the coming weeks and months. Back on the topic at hand. So it was an interesting round at Detroit. It had all sorts of things. It had dominance in the 250 class from one name by the name of Hunter Lawrence, and a comeback victory with controversy, and I'll get that to it later. In the 450 class. So the first manufacturer I'm going to cap off the rank here is Kawasaki. This by the week, this prediction of me having Jason Anderson as my pick to win the 450 title is week by week starting to annoy me. Oh, Jason, seriously. At least try and get yourself a win this season, for God's sake. But anyways, but at least he won a heat race, at least this weekend. So it was not. It was a. I describe this weekend for Monster Energy Kawasaki as a weekend that had so much promise. We've seen Cerullo qualify in second, and finishing and Anderson finishing as qualifying fourth, and then finishing first and third in their heat race, which actually they were raced together in their heat race. And AC obviously grabbed the whole shot for the main event, obviously dropped back, and they both ultimately finished 8th and 9th. I'll get to the point standings later, but it's official. I think it's official now that Anderson's title hopes are over, and now I'm gonna be waiting in the comment section to say, oh, you should have gone with Webb, you should have gone with Sexton, or you should have gone with Tomac, but you went with Anderson instead. You absolute nufty. So that's what probably the comments are gonna say about me. So about that. So yeah. But yeah, it's just not getting any better really, and I won't be surprised actually if Anderson doesn't get a win. I will not be surprised with how good Sexton, Tomac, and Webb have been, and the fact that Roczen won in Indianapolis, and then obviously Barsha and Plessinger. We'll get to those two in a bit later. Having great main events in the last fortnight, their odds and chances of winning a main event are slim, and are getting slimmer and slimmer as the week goes by. And but I still think there's maybe if a odd crazy race happens, then potentially maybe there might be a win in there for either Anderson or maybe a miracle win for Cianciarulo. But yeah, I believe. But I think for me, Anderson, his title, if I comfortably say, is his title hopes over 110%? Yes, I would say. He's too far back in the championship. He's too far back from the top three, let alone the championship leader in Cooper Webb, for starters. But yeah, but I don't think he's gonna. I don't think. Yeah, he's gonna win this title, and I'll be ruining that prediction for, hopefully until the next Supercross season, or maybe even so the upcoming Pro Motocross Championship, which I'm hopefully I'm gonna cover more now. That's this Super Motocross World Championship being. I'm gonna get into that more since that pretty much happened. Husqvarna, the Rockstar, more specifically the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team, more specifically to Christian Craig. According to looking at his results, in recent weeks, I think this is like the fifth or sixth straight time he's been in the top 10. I think, and yeah, sixth straight time, because I think the first 4 races he finished outside the top 10, and then this is now 6 times, and this is now the last 6 races. And he's improved in his results too. So yeah, he's clearly his best main event this weekend. We were 5th in the main event. He was top 10 in all sessions. I mean, qualified 7th, finished his heat race in 5th, and he's just been constantly been getting better. So I believe for me, Christian Craig, I believe he's just getting better and better as the season goes on, and hopefully it spurs him more into outdoors. I know that Supercross form and Pro Motocross form, I've heard so many times, they're two very, very different things, but comfortability on a bike is massive, and I think that for him, for Christian Craig, I believe that I won't be surprised if maybe he gets possibly a podium, maybe in one of the last 2 rounds, or maybe in the last race if Tonak, if it's a freeway title fight in the finale between Chase, Eli, and Coop. That means that Christian just gets the odd podium, which I won't be surprised for. But and I would assume because. And strangely enough, I haven't checked on my Instagram, but I haven't heard any news surrounding when Malcolm Stewart is going to be back. I sense we're pretty much into the final stretch of the Supercross season. I highly doubt he's going to be back for the rest of the Supercross season. I'll be very surprised if he is, since we've had no news about him. But it seemed like for me, but anyways, we probably might, because remember, and I don't think we'll see, because RJ Hampshire, of course, we're now going to be on the west side of things after this week, with this week onwards, for the next few races. So for the next few weeks or so, they're probably going to be up to 1 bike, with RJ in the 250 class, competing in the 250 class, West Championship, and then obviously Malcolm Stewart being injured. So that is the case. That is really the case there. But signs of encouragement really for Christian Craig and for Husqvarna. Let's talk Suzuki. Of course, they and Ken Roxon were coming off this massive high of winning at Indianapolis in such epic style. And the first win for the HEP team ever in Supercross. Is massive high, and some would say from their results this week this past weekend, that form sort of kept on going. I mean, he finished fifth in the main event. He qualified third and finished third in his heat race. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good, really. Really for Roxon, and I won't be surprised if he gets on the if he gets in amongst the leading three in one of the remaining races, and just basically be amongst the best of the rest, basically, and just fight it out with either Tomac for a podium, Webb for a podium, or Sexton or possibly Sexton for a podium, or even Webb again for a win. You never know. It looked like we were going to do that in Indianapolis again, but until Webb moved back. So I think for me, with him getting more and more comfortable by the week on that Suzuki, I believe that Kickstart. I think since now he's got that win, I think Kickstart Kenny will really get that. Will get firing and maybe some form leading into the Pro Motocross Championship if he puts his mind to it, really. Because remember, the last time he was on a Suzuki in Pro Motocross, he won the championship in 2016. That was before his high-profile switch to Honda HRC. So you never know. So you never know with that, but I believe Kenny. I believe, as a lot of people said, a comfortable Kenny is not a good one, mind you. So yeah. Moving on to Gas. I said after Indianapolis, I was very impressed with Justin Barsha, and I was fairly impressed with him again. It didn't look good in qualifying, with him being in 8th, but he really did. But he did step it up for the heat races, finishing 2nd, and he was up there fighting out for the podium yet again. For the 3rd race in a row. He was in podium contention for Daytona. He was in contention for a win at Indianapolis, and he was podium contender again. So it seems like that new gas machine is getting better as the season goes on. And as I said, I won't be surprised if by Supercross next year, that Barsha, that Bam Bam could be contending for podiums more regularly in 2024. Because, as I've said so many times, I'm going to say it again, Husqvarna and KTM had their new bikes for 2022, and they did not go well. And in the case of KTM, they're now in the lead with Cooper Webb. They're now in the lead of the championship. If they're doing that, then sky's the limit for gas in terms of the Supercross season in 2024. I've been very impressed with Bam Bam the last 2-3 weeks, really, and he's really building the season. I won't be surprised if in one of these races he becomes the 5th different winner of the season in the next few weeks. I think for me, based on his current form at the moment, I think Barsha, that win will come sooner rather than later for the Gas team, in my opinion. Yamaha and the reigning champ, Eli Tomac. for the first time this season, he was not running the red plate. He was running the traditional white plates because he wasn't the points leader. He had a very, from what the results show from the weekend, very hard to say. Of course, he qualified 5th. He finished his heat race in 4th. And so he improved one position. So he improved as the day went on, and he ended up finishing on the box in the main event. I just wonder if I hope he proves me wrong this weekend at Seattle about what I'm about to say here. I'm worried that he and Yamaha are starting to run out of steam. Like, it was almost like they were trying to win this championship in the first 5-6 races, or in the first 7 or 8 races, winning 5 of the first 7 races. And he hasn't won any of them since. I know Anderson, I remember when he won the 2018 title, I remember he dominated in the first half of the season, and then he ended up not winning at all in the second half, in the second half of the season, but he still ended up winning and had some inconsistent results in the second half, but still came away with the championship. So, but I think this is more obvious than that. I even said this way back in my season preview series about the worries about a new bike. KTM and Husqvarna proved it. I know it's come late. Has that come true with Yamaha? I'm concerned. As I've said, I hope he and Star Yamaha prove me wrong at Seattle, and then basically he just wins again and takes the points lead again. This is going to be interesting because this could go either way for Tomac, for me. Either he wins and capitalizes on a rare mistake from Webb and he retakes the points lead, or it could be the start of of his potentially a third 450 Supercross championship slipping away from him, and handing a third title over to Cooper Webb. I believe for me, I'm starting to think. I hope, as I've said so many times, I'm gonna say it again. I hope I get proved wrong, but I'm starting to think that he and Yamaha are starting to run, and Star Racing Yamaha are starting to run out of steam in this championship. All that they wanted to do was just dominate the first half of the season, and as we all seen, we see teams dominate first half of the season, but then they just run out of steam in the second half and ultimately lose the championship. So that is pretty much a big concern for me for Tomac, really, in that case. KTM, obviously, it was just like Tomac for Cooper Webb. Obviously, his results improved as the day went on. He ended up qualified 6th, finished 4th in his heat race, and then ultimately finished runner-up to guy we're going to talk about next, Chase Sexton. But it obviously would have been third. After what I heard, I didn't watch the race, obviously, because ultimately being here in Australia, I can't watch the races live, ultimately, because I need some subscription to do that here in Australia. But I did hear, but I do watch some post-race shows and people talking about the races post the event. I just felt so bad when I heard that Aaron Plessinger led almost every single lap of that race until he crashed. When he had a 7-second lead, he crashed, and I saw the picture of him, being in tears, and then the interview, like AP sounds like a guy you want to hang out with. He's such a fun guy. Looking at him, he's just such a fun guy. Normally, with a cowboy hat, which is him. It's just at the fun, really. But I've always said, everyone says, "Oh, is he taking it seriously enough? Is he?" Well, just look at the footage of the poor bloke bawling his eyes out after crashing out from the lead, from a 7-second lead. That just screams that this guy is serious. You all see pictures of him going like this in the paddock and just dancing around, just having fun. But don't be fooled. Underneath that is a highly competitive person. That is why Red Bull KTM saw something in him. I mean, look at the rise they nursed up. They nursed up Ryan Dungey, Marvin Muscan, and even recently Cooper Webb. They turned those three guys into champions, or regular front runners. Even though, it didn't happen to him in his first season, ultimately getting injured, but he's proven in his second season that he can be up there fighting it out with his teammate Cooper Webb. So I think whoever still says that AP does not take it seriously enough, I think is kidding themselves, because seeing the bloke bawling his eyes out in just complete heartbreak from letting a lead like that slip in a race. He was that close to winning his first 450 Supercross main event, and he ends up crashing. Ends up crashing because he said in his interview that there was a rut that he had been in and been sitting on for the whole race, but sitting in like that and just seat bouncing onto a specific tabletop this in this section where he went down. Unfortunately, on this fateful lap, he decided to stand up, and unfortunately, his foot peg rounded part of the ground, and obviously his feet came off of the peg, and that's when he went down. And then basically problems with the bike that meant he didn't finish the race, but he still was classified after being in the lead for so long. So it was pretty upsetting, really. But back on Coop, I think for me this is just a regular trend. It happened in 2019. It happened in 2021. Why is anybody going to doubt it's going to happen? It's going to happen again this year. That Cooper Webb train, even though he's had a few subpar results, obviously he said after Indianapolis he got his ass kicked, and that was when he grabbed the points lead, and he being in a battle for second and third all race, and still end up finishing and not be consistent and still finishing second is testimony to that train. He's still that train is still motoring along, and now it's probably now up to Tomac to derail that, which I said about Tomac and Yamaha. I don't think they will, in my opinion. I hope, as I said, they prove me wrong at Seattle. But I think for me, one Bad. I think for me, I think now Tomac can't afford one bad race where he finishes. Let's just say he crashes and crashes to it has an awfully bad main event where he finishes like, I don't know, like 17th, and then Webb wins. Then that's basically the floodgates that's been opened for Cooper Webb to really run away with this championship. So so I believe the slight advantage is right now is with Cooper Webb because of his form, despite not being at his best as he should have. Before I move on to the winner, big props to the Hill boys, Justin Hill and Josh Hill, and making history by becoming the first brothers to finish top 10 in a Supercross in a 450 Supercross race, and probably won't be the last time by the fact that the Lawrence brothers are going to be coming in. Both of them are going to be coming in very, very soon. So yeah, but speaking about Justin, he's actually been riding very, very well. He finished seventh. He finished seventh at Detroit. I think he finished like 8th or 9th at Indianapolis, which I forgot to talk about him as well. And the fact also that Justin's now 10th in the championship right now. He's inside the top 10 in the championship, which is unbelievable, really, for him. So with a basically new team. So yeah, and also the one advantage for me that Cooper has that nobody else has, that none of the other two have, is the fact that for Honda, yes, they have Dean Wilson, but he's necessarily not going to be a guy that could take massive points off Webb and Tomac. I mean, and of course, Colt Nichols is out, so he's all alone there. For Tomac, I mean, Justin Cooper is they called him Star Racing Yamaha called him quits the end of the season, which I don't know why. I mean, they could have recorded him for the last, let's say, 2-3 races for the Supercross season just to have some extra support for Tomac, and we still don't know when Ferrandis is going to be out for. Maybe he'll be back next week or not. Who knows about that? And the fact that Webb not only has now has a teammate in Plessinger that can run up in the front and can take points off of, and possibly if he can finish second and for example, if he finishes the win and then, for example, Plessinger finishes second and then and passes, for example, Tomac, who finishes third and sixth and fourth, that means that he takes point because of him being between them and Coop. Coop takes points away from both of them. So and then also now with both the Hill brothers now in the mix now, of course, based off this weekend with both of them scoring top 10 finishes, they can be a running support for Coop as well in this championship. I know, and they are also, if you guys don't know, they're also riding KTMs as well. So that's the sole advantage for me for Coop in a way. So yeah. Moving on to the winner, Chase Sexton. Clean swept this. He was fastest in practice, won his heat race, and won the main event, albeit by leading only a couple of laps. But not without its controversy. Although he kept the win, he was penalised 7 points for jumping on a cross flag. Now that in Supercross is a no-no. You can't do it. You can't do that. When a cross flag is out, when it has this, it equates to probably something either someone's injured or someone's trying to do something. Because I think at this point, I think Dean Wilson crashed. I believe and he was from a crash. I believe he was trying to get back on the right stretch of road, which meant the cross flag was out. And he jumped on, and Sexton jumped on a double where he should have singled it. And that's what caught the ire of the officials, and they handed him a 7-point penalty, even though they did keep the win. So he could have been 10 points behind Webb in the championship, but now because of this, he's now 17 back now. So that makes things even more tougher for Sexton. So yeah, Sexton. But other than that, obviously he got a bit lucky from the Plessinger crash. But other than that, it was a perfect weekend. First in all 3 sessions on the day. Just perfection really for Chase, and he really needs those sort of results if he wants to get back in this title hunt. Otherwise, his title hopes will be gone. So to the 450 standings, of course, Webb's currently leading the championship with 225 points. Tomac in second, trailing by 3. Chase Sexton in third, 17 points back. Then there was a long gap back to 4th place. Ken Roxon, who's jumped up ahead of Jason Anderson in 4th, 43 points back. Anderson dropped back to 5th, now 45 points back now, so he's now probably out of the title hunt now. Barsha in 6th, 51 points back. How ironically, his race number is number 51. He's 51 points back. So yeah. Plessinger drops back to 7th at 61 points back. Christian Craig in 8th spot in the championship, 89 points off the lead. Adam Seen Cerullo, surprisingly enough, after missing like 1 or 2 races, ends up and still is in the top 10 of the championship on 118 points. And Justin Hill rounds out the top 10 on his lowly fancy KTM, 122 points off his fellow KTM rider. So moving on to the 250 class, not much really to talk about. Hunter Lawrence, what else can we say? 5 wins from 6, and in actual fact, fun fact, he actually now has more wins than his brother Jet, which I think it's even more wins. No, it's actually more podiums, I believe. I think it's even more wins or more podiums. I might have to check that out. But I think more race wins and more podiums really on that front. So first off to winners, Honda. I mean, not much to say about Hunter Lawrence, barring of course finishing second in the heat race. He was perfect, fastest in qualifying. Of course, Hayden Deegan snatched the whole shot, but he took the lead right back at the start and basically never looked back in the end. And he's got a pretty big points lead now. As we head into the 250 East Championship break. Max Anstey, he was in second place in the championship going into that race. Unfortunately, he crashed in the first corner, on the first lap, and he never really recovered, and he did not finish the race, finished 22nd, and that was the end of that really, and he dropped from, I think, 2nd in the points to 5th, to 5th in the championship, which I'll reveal those standings in a bit. Nate Thrasher, the new man, in 2nd place in the championship, he ended up finished 2nd in that main event. Hayden Deegan ended up finishing on the podium again, but not without some controversy going back to the heat race, which has been a massive talking point. He and Jordan Smith, who are teammates, riding very aggressively in the heat race, which was a bit strange, really, because I did see that, and some of the moods I was like, I didn't say it out loud, but I said it in my head. I was like, Jesus freaking Christ, don't do that. Why did you do that? So yeah. And it ultimately led to Jordan Smith's downhill night from there. Obviously, had to go to the LCQ, and he didn't even make it in the main event. Obviously, he did not had a couple of crashes in the LCQ and ended up missing the main event. So plenty of questions need to be asked down at Star Racing Yamaha. And then the other Yamaha team, Club MX Yamaha, Jeremy Martin, he did not a bad job, obviously. Of course, won his heat race and ended up finishing in 4th and was contending for the podium all throughout that main event. Chris Blows ultimately is still getting better and better on that Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Finishing top 5 today. Why I say today? In top 5 on the day. So obviously I would assume that I would guess he will probably not. Yes, that he would not be. He will be basically be a Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider, I would assume, for the remainder of the Supercross season. Now that I think it's now obvious that Joe Shimoda and Seth Hammaker are probably going to be back as soon as probably the Pro Motocross Championship, I would assume. So, yeah, and obviously, of course, the title race is pretty much over with Hunter Lawrence smashing everyone. So they might as well save their legs for the Pro Motocross Championship, where they can fight Hunter in that way. And of course, KTM with Tom Vial, of course, finishing 3rd in his heat race, which is a lonely highlight, but he finishing 6th, which is another step in the right direction for the former MX2 world champion. So the 250 East Championship now, obviously Hunter has literally just grabbed it with both hands, really. Both hands, really. He's now leading the championship on 151 points. Nate Thrasher is in second, 35 points back. Hayden Deegan is in third in the championship, 40 points back. 7 points covering third to fifth. Obviously, Martin in fourth, 42 points back, and Anstey dropped from second to fifth in one round. Him 47 points back. Jordan Smith is now 59 points back now after missing the main event. Chris Blows now 7th in the championship. He's 63 points back. Tom Vial in 8th place with 66 points back. And then Shook and Park, obviously, in 9th and 10th, which they've not done too badly in the season. I haven't talked about them yet because I've mostly talked about the Lawrence brothers, to be fair. But they've not done too bad. They're finishing around the top 10, so both of them with 79 points behind and 84 points behind, respectively. So yeah. Before I get out of here, I have. Let's just say let's delve. I think we should. I was thinking about the possibility of maybe doing a separate video on this, but probably I should add this now. Talk about 2024 silly season, because there's been a couple of rumors that have been swirling around as of late. The one deal being current Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha rider Levi Kitchen. Apparently there is rumours swirling that since he is off contract at the end of this season from Star Racing, that potentially he might move to Red Bull KTM. So yeah, and yeah, I've got no thoughts on this because still, because could it be better? Maybe, but yeah, and there's rumors swirling around that he will be partnered up alongside Tom Vial for the season. Then that means you might ask yourself, what about Max Vohland? Well, there is current rumours swirling around that he will either be a part of the Trolley Designs Red Bull Gas team to replace a underperforming Michael Moserman, or he will move to Rockstar Energy Husqvarna to replace Jalek Swole, which I have no idea why he would. If there's rumours, comment down below. By the way, if you have any news on that, if he's like going to that, if Swole's going to another team, I think. But yeah, there's rumours around that probably Vohland will go to one of those teams if he's moved out of the Red Bull KTM team. There's basically other rumours swirling around that apparently Joe Shimoda, he's on contract as well with Pro Circuit Kawasaki. He's desperate to stay, but he is assessing his options. So more of a watch this space really for all those rumours currently swirling around right now. All this was basically 250. There's none around surrounding the 450s. Probably won't be until probably when the Supercross season and maybe the back half of the Pro Motocross season leading into the Super Motocross World Championship. Maybe we might get some silly season news about in terms of the 450 class. You never know. So yeah. So a couple of silly season rumors I just wanted to read out to you there. That's just about it for this video. As I said earlier in the video, my apologies for not getting this out earlier in the week. I had a lot of other focuses. So yeah. So like this video, share this to anybody if any of you guys are Supercross fans. Comment down below. Who do you think out of Barsha, Plessinger, or Anderson, you think will be a winner in 2023? As I said, do you think it'll be Anderson? Do you think it'll be Barsha? Do you think it'll be Plessinger? Or do you think that Sexton, Tomac, and Webb are going to win these remaining 7 races? You never know. I'd love to hear your opinions and thoughts. And one last thing, somewhere down there, click on the big red button which is labeled subscribe. But until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later, and wherever you may be, may the sun or the moon shine on you.